Yeah, I'll take a photo now.
It's recording right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Charlie, come on. You can screenshot it, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go now. Don't worry. Here's my lovely man. It's supposed to be the intestine, lungs. That's the heart. Sort of put it there. You know, it's a bit too far left, I know. So don't be picky. It doesn't really matter, does it? You know. Okay, today we're going to talk about a very relevant topic, especially at the minute, and that topic is stress. Not many people know the consequences of stress. Stress is probably the #1 killer in the world. The second killer in the world is negative thinking. I'm going to sort of briefly describe the reasons behind all of this and why stress is possibly one of the worst things for you. There's two types of stress. Obviously you've got good and bad stress. Bad stress is basically what takes your body out of being in growth and puts it in protection, and the good kind of stress is stuff like when you're doing physical training. But even then, anything after, like, say, an hour of intense training, you go the opposite way. So an hour worth of training, given the stress, the mild stress to the body, good sort of stress, puts your body into a growth state. So, but that's where overtraining comes into it, because everyone always thinks overtraining is of the muscles and stuff like that, but it's not. It's actually of the mind and the adrenal system. The immune system gets attacked and everything. So when it comes to overtraining, can you overtrain? Yes, technically yes. It's all relevant depending on the person. Every person's different. A lot of people can train probably every day, every week, and need little to get that sleep in. They don't have to rest that much, really. I mean, but then you get some people, they'll train 3 days a week, and yet they need more rest than other people. So that's just a quick brief on what we're going to talk about today, really. The reason I say it's relevant more than ever at the minute, with everything going on with COVID-19, stress at the minute is possibly right on #1 thing that everyone's doing at the minute. Everyone's stressed, everyone's in a feared state from watching the news, the media, and yeah, I'm just going to do a bit of awareness on it, really. Let's just briefly go over stress and why it exists and why we sort of need it. Stress came about, obviously, back in the day, as far back as we can remember, when the start of the human race. The idea of stress was to get us out of a dangerous environment. Back in the day, we had to get away from a tiger, let's say, you know, and you have a bacteria infection. You've got a mild case of diarrhea coming along. Okay, so you've got a bacteria infection and you've got a tiger there in front of you. So how much do you think your body is going to supply to the bacteria as opposed to getting away from that tiger? Well, the answer being 99% of it is going to get away from that tiger. So it's going to go, forget about the bacteria. If this tiger gets me, the bacteria mean nothing. So what the body does, like, this is from a scientific point of view, the body takes all of the blood from the viscera. So all the blood right now is here, and what this is obviously the immune system here. Once your body gets into a stress state, it squeezes the gut shut. So when it does that, it preferentially sends, which is the term for it, it sends all the blood from here to the arms and legs, ready for fight or flight. So in this instance, we're going to flight. We're going to try and run away from this tiger. That's basically what happens in a stressful environment, really bad stressful environment, which is why, like I say, the viscera closes shut. So it takes the blood away from the viscera, ready to run away. In doing so, what it's doing is it's shutting down the immune system. So when it shuts down the immune system, you're obviously susceptible to any kind of virus, any bacteria, any sort of disease, anything like that. You're open towards that. This is obviously not a bad thing. Your stress levels are up to here. You've got away from the tiger, if you get away from a tiger, that is. And then your body comes back to normal, back to homeostasis in the body, goes back to the gut, back to the immune system. No worries, it's done its job. The problem is in the society, in the world that we live in nowadays, we're in such a heightened state of stress. A lot of people are in that much of a stress zone, like they're trying to get away from that tiger. The blood's being preferentially sent to the arms and legs all the time. So what's happening? Your immune system's shutting down. So when your immune system shuts down, you are susceptible to anything, aren't you, really? So you got to think, you know, you got work, you got family to think about, you got all these different stresses in everyday life. And then when you put training on top of those stresses, it no longer becomes growth. You're now in protection mode. Stress is relevance. So what I may deem something stressful, someone else probably doesn't even seem stressful at all. So why that's the big thing is, it means everyone's individuality is is unique to them. So that's why stress is relevant. So when an individual gets stressed, they release the hormone, sorry if my rhyme's a bit crap, cortisol. That is the main stress hormone. Cortisol is so powerful that they use it therapeutically. So if, say, you have had a kidney transplant or something, doctors literally inject you with stress hormones. If they didn't do so, your body could potentially reject that implant. They give the patient stress hormones, so it will accept the new transplant. So cortisol, in turn, is basically drug. There's a lot of people who are always pretty much in a stressful state that they do not even know that they're stressed anymore, to the point where they go about their days, and if there isn't stress in it, they're like, oh god, something's wrong, there's something wrong. The reason they think that is because it's addictive. It's an addictive trait. That's the main thing that happens. Shuts down your immune system. Okay, so here's the graph on, say, you know, in a stressed and homeostasis state. So the most important thing obviously is not just to limit the stress, because if I limit the stress and get rid of it, where do I come? I come neutral. The important thing is where it's not just about getting rid of the stress, you also need a loving and social life. Bring it to some homeostasis. So if you just get rid of the stress alone, you're in neutral. You need that love and social aspect to bring yourself so you're in complete homeostasis in the body, so everything's equal. So you don't want to be just sitting at neutral, and the idea is probably not to get rid of the stress, but to manage it better. So the body could either be in growth or protection. It can never be in both. So you're either being in growth or you're in protection mode. So this is very important. Say if you're a female and you're pregnant, if you are in a high stress state, you're releasing cortisol into the body, into the bloodstream, and then through the umbilical cord, you're obviously feeding the baby all the hormones that you're feeling. You're literally everything that you're eating, everything you're bringing in, you're literally feeding your baby with. And then that's why you find a lot of times the birth defects is related to a lot of stress. A lot of time it's stress, or it can be from outside sources such as toxins, smoking or drinking alcohol. But either way, what happens is when cortisol enters through the umbilical cord to the baby, if you like, it goes into protection. It sort of you could physically see it on the scans how it. I know they're already sort of shaped sort of like this, but they're even pulled even smaller. So they come into like a protection. So you add, say, stress to it, and the environment, you can hear, say, if even a glass just falls off a table, that baby's going to go straight into protection mode, which is why you'll find a lot of babies are quite underweight when they come out, you know, so a lot of them are really underweight. It's very important, especially when you're pregnant, to limit the stress to the minimum. Literally, you don't want any stress at all, which is why the male is so important when it comes to the father figure. You know, they both got very, very important roles. So as the father, they need to be trying to limit the stress of the female, like the least it can possibly be. So that's why they're very important to give the best environment they can for the mother of the child. Healthy baby, healthy child, healthy adult. So now I've established exactly why stress is pretty bad in regards to the immune system, and I mentioned obviously at the start why this is relevant, especially at the minute. So when it comes to COVID-19, obviously everyone knows now, it's a flu virus. It's a very bad strain of a flu virus. And that is that.
That's that.
Of course, it's a killer, like unfortunately any flu. But the main thing at the minute that's going to give you the most stress out of all of this, with these two situations, you've got COVID-19, you've got the stress from hearing about it. Where does that come from? Media. That D's horrific, sorry. In regards to the fear that's behind all of this, is possibly 10 times worse than what the virus is. COVID-19, I don't want to go too much into that because it's everywhere at the minute, and I don't want to talk about it so much, and everyone has their own opinions about it. Everyone becomes mega mind about it. Everyone suddenly knows about it. I don't know a lot about it. Nobody knows a lot about it. It's a new strain, but it is a flu. It is a really bad flu, and there's nothing to hide behind it. That's what it is. And I know people are just constantly watching the news, watching the numbers. They're living in such a state of fear because obviously we can't really do a lot at the minute due to everything being closed. Well, they're slowly opening back up now, but the past couple of months have just been possibly the most stressful time that a lot of the humans have experienced. So Yeah, everyone's going to remember 2020, aren't they? But yeah, the media, like, the media has, and the fear behind all of this is just unreal. And it is scary. I mean, it's pretty scary, but the people who should really be obviously worried are the same category of people affected every year with just a normal flu, which is the elderly, anyone sort of age sort of like 70 and above, maybe sort of a bit younger than that, but yeah, that's when they get the flu jab, if you like. The people whose immune system's already compromised. So, and that's deemed by doctors who would deem that obviously everyone's got diabetes or severe asthma, stuff like that. Because it's a respiratory, it's a pulmonary sort of virus. It attacks your lungs. So I think anyone with asthma is they're always any sort of flu because it affects the respiratory system. What are we doing? I'm in a fucking shed. Look at the state of it. Oh. So epigenetics, obviously, epi being above genes. Epi above genes. Yes. Sound like a stupid idiot. Genes. So being above genes meaning being like I mentioned, you're not a victim of your hereditary. So anything that's supposedly passed down through the family genes is not necessarily always true. The human body is made up of 50 trillion cells. So that's obviously a lot of cells. So we are practically one big petri dish. Skin covered petri dish, you know, with lots of combined cells. So we are multicellular organisms. So for the first 3.8 million years on planet Earth, they were single cellular organisms, which was basically like, you know, which were viruses, like bacteria, algae, all those sort of things. It was no longer sustainable for them to live that way as single cells. So the single cells, they were just obviously sort of like floating around like this, you know. So until then, eventually, what happened was they grouped together, and they made multicellular organisms. It was a more sustainable way of living, which thus now we have come to the human race. Theoretically, we are top of the sort of the food chain and top of everything else, you know. So that's the idea of it, like epigenetics. That's a lot of things I've been researching and learning a lot about. I will be doing more videos. I just wanted to make a start on stress, just because I think it's more like really relevant at the minute. So on other videos, I'll brief on how stuff like the first 7 years of life is possibly the most important time, how that period of time shapes the person you become potentially. It's all really interesting things like that, like I say, that it's not really recognised, but it's slowly getting more recognised at the minute, and it's just really stuff that I'm really into. So yeah, so in doing so I just want to bring some awareness to all of this, as it's helped me a lot, so I'm hoping it's going to help a lot more people out. Definitely try and cope with stress the best you can. It's obviously hard at the minute, you know, everything that's going on. But I'm hoping this will bring some information to a lot of people and help some people. So I will be doing a lot more videos and everything I've been learning. So but thanks for watching, and I hope it's helped some people. And I'll definitely do more videos on a lot of stuff that I've been learning. And yeah, so thanks for watching.